Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 225. It is Tuesday here in Cincinnati, hot and muggy, blue skies, humid. You go outside and you just are soaked right away. So July has arrived. We are on a Tuesday that is a new moon and a solar eclipse, total solar eclipse. So there's some stuff moving around. There's some planets and things that are going into new places. And I thought today, instead of rambling about things of which I do not know enough, I would read to you some really powerful wisdom from two of my favorite astrologers. And then I encourage you to reflect on what I share, explore both of their work, follow what they do, perhaps even sign up and get newsletters or more information so that you can receive their nuggets of guidance along with me. I've talked about this before, but I believe astrology is a science that, because there's interpretation assigned to it, has been sort of dismissed by many people. And I believe it's a very accurate science, and many of the interpretations that I find from the astrologers I follow are incredibly spot on, accurate, scientifically valid. And so it's worth some time to explore and dive into the things that you also perhaps don't know much about and learn a little more. And then, see how that informs and guides your path. Astrology is way more than what's your sign. I mean, it's including that, but it's way more than that. And it is a methodology, practice that many people I know have invested years and hours of reading and studying and exploring the stars, and then being so precise in their trust of their intuition in what they share with us. And so I deeply, deeply honor the astrologers that I'm going to be sharing with you here. The first one is Sarah Faith. She wrote this series of books called Many Moons that one of my friends shared with me, and I absolutely loved those workbooks. She did it for 3 years and then she stopped. So now all I have is her probably bi-weekly bi-monthly email that she sends out with some information, and it's not enough. More workbooks, please. And then the other one is Sarah Hayes, who is known as Astro Mama on Facebook. She is based here in Cincinnati. I haven't actually met her in person yet, but she is very in flow with the messages she's receiving, and I'm just constantly amazed at how accurate her astrology information is. So here we go. Sit back. You can learn some new information along with me as I learned when I was reading this, and hopefully it'll offer you some insight into what's moving energetically at this time. Okay, the first one, Sarah Faith. I love the way she writes, by the way. So all of this until I switch is going to be Sarah Faith's words that I'm reading to you. Welcome to Eclipse Season, Angels. We have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Cancer today. Some of you may have been feeling the different energy already. Wobbly energy, emotions bubbling up, exhaustion, feelings of irritation, or like you might be on the precipice of something big, something different. Itchiness or some vague fears might be moving around your body. Or you may have been getting deep insights, feeling a stirring to up level now. That word came up in my Sunday meditation so clearly. I asked the question, these are my words. I asked the question, what would your throat chakra say to you in this moment if it could? And my throat chakra was like, now. So I love when she validates with the exact word that I was feeling. All right, back to Sarah. Some of you may be hearing folks around ringing the alarm, saying that eclipse season is here and we need to be scared. Gentle reader, I implore you to not listen to anyone who uses fear tactics and superstition as part of their story. Unfortunately, because of the patriarchy, superstition, and ancient astrology, eclipses have gotten kind of a bad rap. In ancient times, folks would look to eclipses to explain famine, deaths, and war. Blaming nature was a way to explain life's events. Eclipses were believed to coincide with the deaths of important leaders and rulers like popes and kings, even if the death of the ruler took place weeks, months, or years after the eclipse. Other rulers would actually use eclipses, once they could figure out when they were happening, to manipulate the masses. You can Google Christopher Columbus. He did this in the early 1500s to the Arawak Indians, the indigenous people of Jamaica. Because in a lot of cultures, the moon was, in quotes, bad, aka wild and femmy and magical and feminine. The moon doing strange things, like covering up the sun or appearing red, was a bad omen. Of course, looking at the sun during an eclipse would lead to eye injuries, and anyone who has seen a blood red moon during a lunar eclipse knows how visually striking or even ominous it appears. Sadly, fear-based thinking has stuck. But like planetary retrogrades, and having to tell Netflix, yes, in fact, you are still watching, eclipses happen so frequently that if we figure out healthy, practical, and even optimistic ways to work with them, they can ultimately be times of positive change. Even if they bring up difficulties and feel painful, remembering that this too shall pass, so we might as well be aware and conscious during it, can help us. Remember something you achieved that was really important to you? You might have had to break up with someone, move, stand up for yourself, switch a bad habit, or any number of other painful situations in order to get to that higher ground. This is how eclipses sometimes work, by highlighting what isn't. Traditionally, I've noticed that both noticeable external and internal changes happen around eclipses. People move, or people have realizations that lead to some sort of movement. There are breakups, breakdowns, and breakthroughs. Stay mindful and aware during this month and the next. Our water, our emotions, our intuition, our inner motivations, our needs can get stirred or shaken up around this time. Be gentle with yourself and others. In the book I'm writing about the moon, I talk about reframing eclipses as being blessings, because if we work with them, they can lead to important, heart-expanding breakthroughs. Because what is an eclipse exactly? For this new moon solar eclipse, the moon passes in front of the sun in such a way that it is blocked out. There is shadow there, covering our consciousness. The lunar astrologer Dane Rudhyar believed that at a new moon solar eclipse, the present is obscured by the past. I underlined this because I liked it so much. The present is obscured by the past. This allows ourselves to see something important from our past clearly, to confront it in order to heal and move on. I believe that is an interesting theory and would extend this idea around our shadows coming up to the light. We can confront them, we can treat them differently in order to reprogram and heal. Parts of our ego that have been keeping us small, keeping our patterns the same, are up for dissolution. We must first confront our shadows, which is painful. We then must change our behavior, our thought patterns, and how we relate to ourselves, which is harder. There is another school of thought around eclipses, which I also agree with. This is Viv, side note. This is more what I like about eclipses. Sarah's words. Eclipse energy is amplified energy. Emotions, behaviors, themes, and patterns are amplified. For some of this, eclipse season is a beautiful time. For others, what is most frustrating about one or more aspects of our lives comes up strong and may be too painful to ignore. Decisions are made. Ancient Tibetan Buddhism thought around eclipses is that what we do at them is amplified times 1,000. They suggested spending time doing acts of loving kindness for others, as well as spending concentrated time on activities that support intuitive and spiritual growth. Eclipse energy is amplified energy that we can use to envision expansion around our consciousness, behavior, and emotional patterns. For some of us, this is a boost, a portal into another way of being. Our visions start to coalesce into actions. We start to make different choices. This eclipse could be whispering. Stay soft enough to trust. Stay brave enough to keep going. Stay centered enough to receive the blessings that come when you reach up for your dreams. Stay grounded enough to remember how beautiful you are. Another favorite way to work with eclipse energy is to facilitate profound transformation. This could be the beginning of an important process or practice for you. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. Transformation happens in the small, imperceptible moments. You pause and decide to refrain from snapping at a loved one. You center and decide to come back to yourself through a walk, a stretch, a good cry, instead of numbing out on the screen or with another unfulfilling coping mechanism. Transformation happens when you choose to move towards what you love, day after day, in small and private and large and bold ways, until the moment comes when you've realized you are getting rewarded. Nothing changes if we don't change. Sarah Faith, my friends. You can find her at Modern Woman Projects. And I'll put a link in the comments. Okay, Sarah Hayes. I love that they're both Sarahs. I think that's so cool. I should have looked up what the name Sarah means, but there must be some connection to Sarahs and astrologers or super intuitive people. Okay, here we go. Astro Mama, Sarah Hayes, who you can find on Facebook and Patreon. Here's what she writes. Total solar eclipse in Cancer. Do you hear your soul's heartbeat? Coming home to your truth, nurturing yourself, and releasing emotional barriers. That's kind of our title for the whole theme. On July 2nd and 3rd, we have the total solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Cancer. Solar eclipses, actually I should have said these are all Sarah's words in case I didn't say them. Solar eclipses are new moons and signify sudden and life-changing new beginnings, initiations, and fresh starts. Eclipses always bring change, shifts, and massive awakenings. When we become too comfortable within our human existence, they come to wake us up and shake us up out of our complacency. Cancer, the fourth zodiac sign, represents the mother, the soul, our emotional foundation, home, family, and vulnerability. The total solar eclipse in Cancer is here to usher in a fresh breeze of possibilities around embracing and nurturing your tender soul. No more denying what is felt below the surface. The solar eclipse is aligning with the North Node in the sign of Cancer. The North Node is where we are headed, our destiny, and our true path. As a collective, since the end of 2018, when the North Node went into the sign of Cancer, the universe has been asking us to come home to ourselves in powerful and meaningful ways. With the eclipse being guided by the North Node in Cancer, we are being led to a destiny that cannot be denied. It is a destiny of surrendering to who we truly are at our deepest core. Many could feel quite emotional at the time of the eclipse. Past memories and repressed emotions are coming to the surface to be cleansed and healed. The total solar eclipse is asking you to take a leap of faith towards a future created from honoring your deepest emotional needs and dharma. The inner mother in all of us wants to be hugged and loved. Tears of redemption and renewal are in store, and a new sense of self emerging from the cocoon of isolation. This potent new moon asks us to be soft and gentle, yet proactive and protective of our soul's growth. We must surrender to our own deep need to feel loved and appreciated. This eclipse will usher in an awakening of being the parent or guardian we perhaps never had in our upbringing. There is a tenderness of touch and spirit all within our deepest core, just waiting to be embraced and loved unconditionally. Aspects of this total solar eclipse will bring up wounds to be transformed with the self. This could go either way. Perhaps we haven't been identifying with what works for us and going along with everyone else's wishes or desires. or we have been over-identifying with the self and thus not recognizing the needs and desires of another. Whichever way this dynamic plays out for you specifically, this aspect between Chiron and the solar eclipse will usher in a deep healing energy around the wounds of who we are and what we stand for, not for anyone else but for ourselves. There is a need for assertiveness and strength of will and soul with this cardinal aspect. The second aspect La Luna is making is to Uranus and Taurus, which will create new ways to nurture ourselves in quite unorthodox and unique ways. Many folks could come to discover a new aspect of their heart that maybe once seemed too outlandish or bizarre. With this aspect, major transformations within our ability to ground these new soul truths will come forward, and these could be revealed very suddenly or without much warning. The total solar eclipse in Cancer is here to usher in massive and destined changes around our soul's growth and awareness. We are coming home to our truth in huge and unprecedented ways. No more hiding our tender, loving, and vulnerable sides. True love is embracing what is and what isn't, all of it and without any pretenses. The total solar eclipse in Cancer wants you to mother your wounds and transform them into beacons of strength and resilience. Your soul is crying out not for material items, success, prestige. Your soul is crying out for your own love. Isn't that beautiful the way she says that? Your soul is crying out for your own love. Big shifts and realizations that bring emotional cleansing and transformation are possible at the time of this massive new moon. The total solar eclipse asks you to be still and quiet. Do you hear the heartbeat of your soul? Do you feel the well of love that wants so deeply to be expressed? La Luna, anew within the crab's den, asks you to come home to embrace and heal your wounds, transform your soul's path, and honor yourself with utmost respect and unconditional love. She says we'll be under the effect of the solar eclipse in Cancer for the next 2 weeks until the partial lunar eclipse in Capricorn on July 16th, 17th. Blessings to our beautiful Sarahs, Sarah Faith and Sarah Hayes, and the way that they translate the stars for us and bring it into such real language. Okay, new moon in Cancer, total solar eclipse. Allow it to be amplification of positive, of love expanding. All right, have a beautiful Tuesday. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me in aligning with the optimal health of your mind, body, spirit in the virtual community of Viv's Energy Gym. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.